You want me to wear I have a green screen suit. Should I wear a green screen suit? You put like.
That's amazing.
You can like do me up with the whole SNY logo.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Putback on SNY.TV. I'm Ian Begley here with my buddy Maurice Peebles.
Let's get into the baseline. Ian, the Knicks started voluntary workouts last Monday, and with team workouts starting this week, fans should soon see plenty of videos of Kevin Knox hitting 2 3-pointers in a row, thus proving that he's built different this year.
So with RJ Barrett and Tom Thibodeau, people around both of those guys feel like they're really going to hit it off and really going to have a strong relationship because of the idea that both of them are workers. In Minnesota, there was a Timberwolf who would work out late in the practice facility, and whenever he was in there, Thibodeau was in there working on plays, pouring over film, what have you, and they developed a mutual respect for each other. And people around both these guys see that element could develop here with Barrett and Thibodeau.
Here is Ian Begley, who gotta say, man, quarantine is treating Ian right. He looks great.
This week's guest is lifelong Knicks fan Jason Concepcion, senior creative at The Ringer and host of the Emmy Award-winning NBA Desktop.
I don't actually think we can overreact to this. I don't think that there's a level. I don't think that there's a ceiling on this. He unfollowed all of his teammates and all the people on his team 4 days after saying in the strongest possible terms, if there's a wall in front of him, he does not go around the wall. He goes through the wall. He's coming back. Don't even question it. I don't know. That makes me question it. And I like them and I love it. I honestly love it because it's like any of these guys can go. All of them. Whoever it is, like, build this team and let's spend some money and put a team around me. I like it. And then they had a 3-hour meeting where they hashed it out. And I'm sure everybody was like, did I do something? Why did you unfollow me? Was it something on my Insta story? But I think this is great. I don't think we can possibly overreact to it. And I would just like to also say, right after he said, if there's a wall, I'll go through it. A bunch of people on the internet and social media were like, he said he's staying. Stop it. Stop. I hope this stops the narrative. If we could count the ways and the times that free agents have signaled that they're staying when they are actually, in fact, preparing to leave, we would never stop counting.
Jason, I want to know what you think about your favorite team, which will have cap space in 2021. I know we'll be speculating about it a lot. Giannis to the Knicks. Do you mock the idea? Do you buy in? How do you approach that as a fan?
I mock the idea. I think that I mock the idea because it's so mockable. I think you have to do your due diligence, right? A player like Giannis hits the market, you got to explore it. At the same time, track record is not good with the free agents, folks, with the top shelf free agents. A lot of moves have been made over the years that seem to indicate that the Knicks thought they had the inside track on various free agents. None of that has happened. Ian, as I'm sure you know, like during the run-up to KD's free agency, people who really know stuff were like, he's going to New York. It's happening. And then it didn't. And clearly the Knicks believe that too. So I mock the idea. I think you just go to him and you say, does Julius Randle excite you? Does that excite you?
It's going to be interesting to see what Milwaukee does because you said it. He put the pressure on everybody. He used his leverage and good for him. Yeah. And where do they go from here?
Giannis is gone. I don't think he's coming to New York, but don't give your best years to a city. If we were all given a map of Wisconsin, none of us can point out where it is. I don't think Giannis is going to do that.
I can do it. I just want to say that I can do it.
I'm not social media savvy enough to really know what it means. I have to defer to Jason, but I do know that Enes Kanter, who was my guy in New York, he unfollowed me on Twitter. So I don't know how to analyze that. I don't know if I upset him, but just following that unfollow theme. Enes, what's going on, man?
What'd you do? What did you do?
I don't know. I don't know if I talked about him. I haven't analyzed the Celtics all year. I don't know. Enes is your guy too, so maybe you could text him and find out.
Hey Ian, how's it going? Of the Knicks on non-guaranteed contracts for next season, so Taj Gibson, Wayne Ellington, Elfrid Payton, and Reggie Bullock, and maybe even if we leave Bullock aside, do you see the Knicks prioritizing any of the other 3 players as candidates to guarantee and bring back to either play on the roster next season or use in potential trades?
Jeffrey Balone, I can't keep up with you, man. I don't know if you're Knick Film School, the Strickland, Daily Knicks, but regardless, keep up the great work. I would put Taj Gibson at the top of that list because of Gibson's relationship with Tom Thibodeau. Gibson played for Thibodeau in Chicago and Minnesota. I would assume that the Knicks decline that team option for Gibson and maybe bring him back on a lower deal. And you mentioned Reggie Bullock. Before Leon Rose came here, the predominant thinking on Bullock was, let's bring him back on that $4 million deal for next season. And if nothing else, he is a great trade chip for us. I don't know if the thinking has changed there, but I'm putting Gibson and Bullock at the top of my list.
Most embarrassing moments in Knicks, I won't say lore or history, but maybe the last 10 years, the 2010s.
I guess we'd have to go with the Bargnani trade. The fact that we sent out picks for him is so crazy that even now saying it, it's wild. I think it's notable that all these years later, no one has been like, you know what, I did that. That was. It's almost like when someone's kid grabs their phone and orders like a bunch of Amazon stuff. Like it feels like that. Like nobody really has been like, okay, that was me.
Oh, the front office wants to say, hey, that was a Jim Dolan move. I had nothing to do with it. I'm sure if you asked Dolan, he would say, hey, I was hands off. I don't. Maybe the
You know, the Porzingis trade is I think kind of, we've memory hold how weird and uniquely bad that was, that the Knicks were in that position and got bullied like that. It would have made sense if KD was coming and he came, but he didn't. And to say like, oh, he was going to sign his qualifying offer and leave X amount of millions of dollars on the table, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Nobody buys it. Nobody. We're never going to see something like that. That amount of money left on the table. It's not going to happen.
I'm going to go off the court. There's a million of those, but the one that was so bizarre to me was when Kurt Rambis was the interim Knicks head coach, and either he or somebody who was on his Twitter account had liked a not safe for work tweet, and that it popped up over the weekend. He was asked about it, and I think the Knicks put out a statement saying we're aware of this, we're working with Twitter on the and here we are. I don't know how many years later, but I don't know if that investigation has concluded, but we haven't gotten official word from Twitter on that yet. But it's that one was so wild to me because the Knicks had fired their coach and Rambis had taken over and whatever, the basketball. And then there's a liked porn tweet. And you're like, what is going on here?
That one was so great. It was early enough kind of in the Twitter experience where it would make sense that people didn't understand how it worked. You know, that people could see that. I hope that investigation comes to its conclusion at some point. I know that it's been a really long-running affair, and I hope that we get to the bottom of that.
I'm a huge NBA desktop fan. I just want to thank you for doing
Thank you. Appreciate that.
One of my favorite moments, selfishly because I work at SNY, was when you looked at Ian's All-Decade team.
Ian Begley picks his All-Decade team for the Knicks. Let me ask you something, Ian. Why the would you do this to yourself? Guess who the point guard is?
Ravenfeld.
Yes.
What? Really?
And you know what? That's right. If you play well for 3 months, you make the All-Decade team for the Knicks. And you know what? It's absolutely correct. That's factual.
I got to ask, do you feel anyone on the current roster is going to make the All-2020 decade team?
I think that RJ will make it, the All-2020s decade team. Now, we are early in that project. It is the year 2020 right now, but I would say that RJ would be the person that makes it. And then that's it. That's all.
That'll do it for the Putback this week. But before we go, we want to wish best of luck to Maurice Peebles, who is headed over to Complex as their editor-in-chief. Complex's gain is definitely our loss. We had a blast with Maurice, not only on this show, but working on all things SNY, and we wish him the best of luck in his next endeavor. Maurice, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ian. You embarrassed me, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to miss this show, but you're in good hands, I'm sure.
Appreciate it, my friend.